How we doing, traders, and welcome to the SPACs attack. Let's get it started, baby. All right, all right. How we doing, traders? Welcome. My name is Mitch Hoch. I'm here with my man Chris Katje. You already know this is the brains to the show here, the SPAC man, the SPAC attacker, whatever you want to call him. Hit him up on Twitter, guys. If you haven't followed Chris, look in the description below. Hit my man to follow. Let's go ahead and let's get into today's show. I'm super excited. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things that you see right now, and some people are panicking, with these big dips and we're seeing on our watch list. I'll go ahead and I'll pull up our watch list in a second here. But one thing that I can say to this is that, you never know, when these SPACs are going to pull back. And one of the things that we always talk about is being close to that $10 level, because when you're not close to that $10 level, a lot of these are going to be kind of more of what we call momentum plays. And so momentum plays come in and out. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. I don't know if you're seeing anything out there, Chris. That's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of red out there in SPAC land today. Remember, this is a hot sector. We've seen a lot of these names fly, with rumors or, before the deal closes. And then we start to see, if you look at charts, you start to see patterns, where they sell off after huge jumps, as people take profits. They sell off going into those merger votes or those closed deals. So, don't get caught chasing these plays, going too high. Pay attention to your levels, and as Mitch has said, and I really like to listen to, know your game plan and your out levels. What kind of profit are you looking for? Are you chasing for a 500% gain that might be unrealistic, or are you looking for a 100% runner? Know what your plan is. Don't be afraid to sell, or don't be afraid to take some off the table, and then you can always hold on to some shares, and play with the house's money. So I agree, Mitch.
Yeah, I actually always get excited in moments of panic. I learned from the Warren Buffett method that panic is a time. When the blood's on the street is when I go buying, man. I bust out the cash, and that's why a lot of times you need to keep a little bit of cash in your accounts. As a tip from me, I definitely recommend it. A lot of times you see investors use up their whole capital, like 100% of their capital, and they're like fully invested 100% into this stock. And what ends up happening is sometimes you get these market turns or these waves. And I talked about it with the SPACs. So there's going to be waves. Like we had that wave in June, July. Then we kind of had a little dip down, August, October, November, December came, and whoop, that's what happened. So look for the waves, guys, and try to meet the waves, find the supports, get in at good entries, and like we always say, stick with the plan. Because a planned trader is the one that at least understands their risk and understands his reward and is not a gambler. And that's what I really try to tell people to avoid. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get into some of the good stuff of today and what we're here for, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, take us back, Chris.
All right, guys. So headlines today, again, big story is, SPAC selling off. We're seeing a lot of red out there. So one name that I do see in the green is one that I, found last night on Twitter with some rumors. So this is symbol BHSE. This is Bullhorn. So the SPAC was up 24% in after hours last night, thanks to some detective work done by Bill Spackman. That's the person I follow on Twitter. So Reebok is the rumored target here for this SPAC. So Reebok was acquired by Adidas in 2005 for $3.8 billion. They are trying to unload it. The new rumor is a $2.4 billion deal that would be done by former NBA star Baron Davis and rapper Master P. That's Percy Miller. So Davis is a board member on BHSE, that SPAC that is now being linked. So I don't know if we get this done because, ultimately when a deal goes through, The company usually retains some ownership, and it looks like Adidas wants to just completely get rid of Reebok. So I'm not sure how the funding would line up as, a $2.4 billion deal from this, SPAC that raised a couple hundred million. So I'm a little hesitant, but the connection to Davis is there. So Reebok has been hurt. Quarter two sales were down 42%. It only makes up 8% of Adidas's sales. Reebok was the former supplier of NBA, WNBA, and NHL jerseys at one point. They had strong brand awareness. They were one of the first athletic companies to sign rappers to shoe deals, with Jay-Z and 50 Cent in 2003. And now we're seeing Nike, Jordan Brand, and Adidas all do this. So Davis and Master P kind of want to bring Reebok into line of having athletes and rappers own the brand and really promote it. So if that's the case and this gets done with the SPAC, could be one to watch. I did see Reebok trending on Twitter this morning as well with those rumors. Next up, we have RMG. It's one we've talked about a lot on here. This is Romeo Power. Their vote yesterday was approved. New ticker is RMO. Shares were down yesterday and are also falling today as that went through. The other deal yesterday, LOAK, merging with Danimer Scientific, was approved. That's a play on plastics and sustainability. They have deals with Nestle and Pepsi. Highlighted in a New York Post article over the weekend, shares hit all-time highs on Monday, up 11%. Yesterday, IPOC, which is merging with Clover Health. Shares were up 15%, hit all-time highs. It's continuing to run up from that $10 level that we pointed out on the show. Traders are starting to circulate the connection with Clover Health to Walmart and new rumors with Walgreens on Twitter. Giving the attention that it is getting from several trading groups. I don't really see this one slowing down as we go into that January vote. Next up, we have LOAC. So this is one we talked about on the show yesterday. Was up 17% when we mentioned it on the show, and that's where it closed. This is a pharma SPAC with ownership by Merck and also a deal in place with the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's, and they are a COVID-19 related name as well. Want to talk about Lordstown Motors for a moment. So Ride, they got a large order for 14,000 endurance pickups from E Squared Energy Advisors. This complements the fact that they already announced in December that they had reached 80,000 pre-orders for that electric pickup, which is set for 2021. So another strong deal. They're really starting to tackle that fleet customer base. So this is one of those big names to watch in 2021 that we have mentioned several times on the program. Next up, we have NGA. So this is bringing in Lion Electric, electric buses and vans. NGA is a stock that I own. They entered into a reseller deal with Blink Charging that was announced today. I think this helps them sell their buses and vans in the future because, again, customers are then getting a complete package. They're getting the vehicle and the charging infrastructure. With so many electric vehicle names out there in the commercial space, I think the companies that can partner or have their own charging infrastructure, that's a key catalyst of them landing, extra deals and being ahead of their competitors. Then a reminder that we do have the votes today for two sports betting and iGaming related names, LCA and DMYT. We talked about that on the program yesterday. LCA shares are falling. DMYT shares are down as well. Both of these will probably see a dip as we get that vote approved, but the real story, is going to be in 2021 as we see more states legalize sports betting. And then, Mitch, I'm wondering if you can pull up LAZR for me on Benzinga Pro. I see shares going higher now, and I see some news with some rumors linked to a Tesla Model Y with a sensor on top that people are now saying could be Luminar. So again, if you don't have Benzinga Pro, free trial in the comments down below. This is where I love to look for breaking news. You also see why stocks are moving. Um, we've talked about the LIDAR names. We're going to get to them again when we talk about the top SPACs of 2020. But this rumor with, Tesla is interesting because Elon Musk is not a fan of LIDAR. He's publicly said that. So, if Luminar is involved at all here, you're going to see, a potential major jump. And again, this one has fallen from those levels after the merger. So I'll be interested to see what happens and if this can get confirmed by either company going forward. That's what I've got for headlines today.
Yeah, I'm actually just pulling up that chart right here, taking a look here, and you had this kind of downward trend since the 22nd, and now you're kind of getting that lift there. The biggest thing I think is going to be here is if we can get some volume to really step up here at 33s. 33, it just pulled back towards that, now bounced off of that. Now coming up there towards that 33.50. Let's see if that volume can continue following it and it can start driving on up there today and maybe get above 35. All right, guys. So, like always, there's a lot of action going on, and sometimes you are going to get these down waves. And one of the things is we've had a great year. I mean, if we look back, I mean, it's been an amazing year for SPACs. I mean, when you really look at it overall and how many came out, how many really got up there towards that, let's say above $12, $15, where you had that potential to make, 20, 40, 60, 80% returns. And this is what it's all about. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I talk about it with a lot of friends of mine is that the market has opportunities for us. We just need to be informed enough to go ahead and make those informed trades. And so, Chris, I know you got a lot to talk about, but let's go ahead and let's talk about maybe some of the calendar updates before we get into our middle segment here.
Yeah, so those votes today, LCA and DMYT, and then as we head into the new year, IPOC on January 6th, and then we also have GHIV, which is merging with United Wholesale Mortgage, vote on January 20th. Again, that's the largest SPAC deal that will be done. Both these names are trading higher, as we head into the new year. Again, I'm curious to see if IPOC can sustain, the movement that we have seen with lots of people getting behind it. And GHIV, again, we saw the Rocket IPO real hot out of the gates, and now those shares have fallen. So I'll be curious to see, what happens to United Wholesale after that deal goes through.
All right, guys. So let's go ahead and let's get into the best part of the show for today. It's really what it's all about, guys. The best SPACs of 2020. I know that a lot of you guys probably have an opinion out there. We're going to go through our list. And one of the things is, we're looking at the top performing ones, but there's been many. If we miss one, go ahead and let us know in the chat. This is what it's all about, guys. And I know Chris is going to start going through these. One of the things that we want to do is really have that engagement today, guys. So if you do like one of these and you think that possibly this is going to be a great one, go ahead and press 1 for yes, and then press 2 for no. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and let's get into this, Chris. What do you see for 2020? Which ones were the best ones? Let us know, Chris.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the top performing SPACs in 2020. Again, this list changes, sometimes on a daily basis with the movements. These prices are based off of last week when we started doing our research. So the top performing SPACs 2020 for completed deals, we have QS, DKNG, MP, LAZR, LPRO, BWMX, OPEN, VLDR, TTCF, and UTZ. So we're going to dive into each one of those individual names. I know Mitch put them up on the screen there as well. So like Mitch said, go ahead and put a 1 in the comments if you like the name and a 2 if you don't. We're talking 2021 performance for these names. So we'll go one at a time here, and I'm going to play along. So up first, we have QuantumScape. So shares are at 97.38 today. This is a battery play, best performing SPAC. We saw shares over 100. I'm going to go ahead and take the no on this. I think there's lots of battery names coming public. A lot of them have revenue or better timelines for getting deals done, whereas QuantumScape's a couple years out. I think this one continues to drop, and I don't think it can sustain $97 in 2021. Just my thought here.
I'm
Uh,
gonna go on the opposite side for you. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put a one here.
okay.
I'll say yes. I will see this one above 100 and 2021. That's what I'll say.
All right. And then up next we have DraftKings, so DKNG. Before QuantumScape, this really was, the top performing SPAC that really has been able to sustain those levels over 40. DraftKings is a yes for me. Sports betting is going to be a major story in 2021. I think the company has established, market share leadership in a lot of its states. And I think it will continue to trade at a higher premium than some of these other names. So I would say it's a yes for me. How about you, Mitch?
All right. So when I see that chart, I can definitely see the strength in it. You've gotten these multiple highs to try to rip out. I think what's going to be very important is around this 44 and 40 price point. I think at the end of the day, you're going to see state by state push for legalization, or well, we already got the legal, but at least actually going towards the gambling market and going state by state. So this is a positive story. At the end of the day, in the long run, I like certain plays in this sector. So to me, DKNG is a no, but I do like the sector. So there's other ones that we'll talk about that I do like in this area.
All
All
right,
right.
and then up next we have MP. So this is MP Materials. So this is the thing behind the thing, rare earth mining. They're the major peer play in the U.S. as we try to, rid ourselves from using China for materials. They're really starting to ramp up production. We had the CEO, James Litinsky, on the show. He talked to us about in the future how they'll be able to sell to companies like Tesla direct. Not sure if that happens in 2021. But with the Biden administration coming in, clean energy being a major theme, I see MP. It's a yes for me for going higher in 2021. How about you, Mitch?
Yeah, well, this is one we actually had on the show. I think the day we had it, it was at like even $14. So stick with the show, guys. I mean, hit the like down below, hit the subscribe so you can stay with us when we bring these executives on. But I see that 40 turnaround, and the biggest thing for me is going to be 25. I'm seeing 25 on the chart here multiple times. Let it come back towards that area and see if we can get another pop of volume in that area. That's what I'll be looking for. Long term for me, I think this one's a one. Yeah, a yes.
All right. And then up next we have Luminar, LAZR, which we just talked about. So that may change some opinions here. So Luminar, I had written down a no. Obviously if that link to Tesla happens, it's going to go higher. To me, there's too many lidar plays going public now. Luminar was the first ones. They kind of had that first mover advantage with the public market. I don't think it can sustain those $30 levels. Again, I might be proven wrong real fast here, but Luminar was a no for me.
All right, as we can take a look at this chart, we had that massive drive up to 47.50, have bounced off of that 22.50 here, made another drive up to 37.50. We're pulling back here near that 30. I think it's going to be very important of seeing that downtrending volume. I always talk about volume, guys. So you see these bars, how they keep coming in this downtrend action. Wait for that big pop up again here. I'm going to be looking for a day like this where it has, 30 million, 40 million. Up here is 67 million shares traded and 58 million shares traded. You need some shares to drive it back up there. If it's going to make that big drive, it's going to need a catalyst and it's going to need volume. So to me, long run, I think these stocks are big plays for the next year. So to me, this one is a one.
All right. And then up next, we have open lending. So LPRO. This one hasn't gotten a ton of attention on our show because it was a deal completed before we started. I have a no written down for me just because I think there's a lot of competition out there. But it's one I might do some further research on, in that market. What do you think, Mitch?
I'll go strictly off the chart here. So if we look at this chart, what do you see, guys? Straight uptrend. I mean, this is a nice uptrend. I mean, this doesn't show kind of weakness ever coming in here. Personally, I think if I had to base it on not knowing the business, but base it on off the chart, I like this chart. It did definitely get a significant volume here at 28. So when it comes back to that level, be careful, guys, because you could get a quick downfall to like maybe 22 or 20s. But I'll be looking for this one, maybe potentially to see if it can continue this kind of uptrending slope line. I mean, I'll draw it for you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I mean, look at this. When a line follows like that, what I want to see is when it comes back to that line, if we're going to get that bounce again. It keeps bouncing off that line. So look for that trend to kind of hold. That's what I'll say about this one. At least from the chart, it looks like a one to me.
All right. Up next, we have another one we haven't talked about on the show because it was a deal that was completed before. BWMX. This isn't a as well known one. This is Better Wear de Mexico. So I kind of compare it to like a Tupperware or Container Store for Mexico. Direct to consumer storage products, home goods. I like this one going forward. This one is a yes for me.
All right, guys. I don't know too much about this one, but let's take a look at the chart here. So there's this massive wick on the 31st. I don't know if you guys see this on here on July 31st. There's a wick that goes all the way up. It had a high that day of 37.82. And then it came back down towards the support and just keeps bouncing off this kind of upward trend line. Look to see if you see any volume to come in near these trend lines. That will show you that maybe some investors are interested in this one. But I don't know too much about this one, so to me this is going to be a 3. I don't know.
Yeah, and Mitch, I see July 31st was the day of the vote. So I'm guessing, someone just got caught out there, without setting a limit order, possibly. That is a huge spike there. So not sure what happened, but yeah, that's another name that we should do some more research on then. Next up, we have Open Door. So this was formerly IPOB from Chamath. This is a yes from me. I like the market penetration plan that they have in place. This is one that's been added to the ARC funds by Kathy Wood. She's selling Zillow, replacing it with Open Door. I like the long-term story here and those market share gains as they add additional markets. How about you, Mitch?
Yeah, when I look at this chart, I think of I could just compare it to maybe Zillow. That's another chart that kind of rocketed off like this too in the same industry. So things that I'm looking at, guys, to me, big driver in this one, to me could be if we do get the tax credit that Biden has been talking about. I don't know if you guys have known this, but Biden had talked about doing a first time home buyer tax credit. I think just that catalyst alone could spark this stock. So I'm going to be paying attention and looking for pullbacks closer towards this $20 level, maybe this $18 or $17 level. See if we get maybe some offerings here to really get some kind of underneath support there. And I think this is a one if we get the story to follow. So if the catalysts keep going in the right way to support the housing market, then yeah, this is one I'll keep an eye on. So I'll go with a 1.
All right. And then up next, we have another LIDAR name. So VLDR, Velodyne. This is a yes for me. I think compared to some of the other names, it's just not trading at as high of a premium. I think LIDAR is going to be a hot story, and I think this is one of the more established names in the field. How about you, Mitch?
Yeah, this is one that it seems like they're trying to find some pricing. To me, that's just what it seems like on this chart. It seems like no one knows the exact pricing that they should be getting into. Why? Because I'm seeing a lot of like these quick dips, then these spikes, and if you see these volumes, we're coming back towards support, we hold for a couple days, push up, and then there's this huge like kind of gap up here on the 30th, and it looks like to me that volume there was selling. So people selling into the rip there, and they're coming all the way back down here. So this is one that I feel like the Bulls and the Bears are battling. I don't know too much about this one, so I'm gonna go off of a 3 here, just because I can't really see any kind of trend on the chart. And sometimes I look at charts and I don't like to confuse myself too much. If I don't look at it immediately and a light bulb go off in my head, I'll just pass. There's other opportunities for me. There might be other opportunities for you. Maybe this is the stock that you like, but for me, based on the chart and based off the price action, is not my kind of trade.
Awesome. And then up next we have Tattooed Chef, TTCF. So plant-based food here, I think is going to be continued high growth going into the new year. At their investor presentation, they talked about some new food items. They're, expanding into stores. So deals in place with Sam's Club, Costco, Target. And they also introduced their e-commerce platform not too long ago. So I think this is a major story going into the next earnings report. Man, that chart is all over the place. This is a yes for me. I like the story going into 2021 and the theme of plant-based food.
Chris, you don't like big old W charts?
I mean, is that a W?
Does W
Yeah.
stand for winning?
There you go. It's a winner, right?
Yeah, no, this chart is definitely one of those that like it just goes to show you guys, if you're buying highs and you're buying rips, you're probably doing it all wrong in this market. It's definitely a buy the dip kind of market still, and you saw this one turn around from 15. I think Chris and I were even mentioning it back here, closer towards these levels, and when we started seeing this kind of bottoming action and then a quick push up above the 16, that what do you need, guys? Volume, right? Volume to follow, right? So you're stuck in this area, and then you get that volume right here, guys. That's what really drove it right here, guys. That big volume pop in this area got it above that high here in $21. And now I think this is one going to be a story about, is the industry really making that shift? I think COVID kind of slowed this shift in the industry down, which was the shift, to that fake meat life. If you look at Beyond Meat, it had such a positive story at the beginning of the year, but then if you look at it now, it's not the same story. So I think you need to wait to see how the pandemic plays out in this whole change over to an alternative meat source, and so let's see how that goes. If you like your fake meat, press 1. If you don't like your fake meat, press 2. Guess what, guys? I like my steak. I press 2.
All right. And then last on this top 10 list, we have UTZ, Utz brand. So this is chips, pretzels, snack food. I don't know this one that well. It looks like it's on its way up. I guess if I would probably be a 3 here. If I had to pick, I would say yes, it goes higher in 2021. But yeah, I'm a maybe here. How about you, Mitch?
Well, guys, this is a chart that, as much as I could say that I would want to not believe in this story, I mean, look at this chart. This is a pretty easy chart to read, guys. You get this rip up in June, nice high here, 1439s, and it goes sideways. Sideways is a consolidation period. A battle between the Bulls and the Bears. And really, what you need to be doing in these areas is looking for support touches so that you can kind of ease into this position. And you saw a lot of position adding here between July 23 and July 30th, and then what ended up happening? Volume increases here, gives it that little push up, then you get the same kind of pattern. Sideways, off support, eventually volume increases, and you get that breakout. That's kind of the pattern that you're seeing. So one of the things is look for the patterns to repeat. That's what I'd look for in this stock. I'd look for a volume push. I'd look for sideways action, and it looks like it tends to go sideways for like almost, here it went sideways for almost 3 months. And then if we look at here, what is it doing? Also, 1, 2, 3, almost 3 months, and it breaks out again. So patterns, guys, patterns. Look for these patterns on the charts. That's what I always try to do, guys. And patterns don't lie, like I always say. So when you can match a pattern with a story and a fundamental outlook, boom. To me, that's it's called a high conviction trade, and that's what I like here. So what I see here is how the chips life doing. I mean, to me, I, I don't know why this stock is doing that well, but it's like a lot of stocks. Sometimes if you don't know the story and you don't know why a stock keeps going up, you don't just go and short that stock. You have to always kind of understand the story. To me, this is a chip story that I do not, and we're talking more like a potato chip story here, and I don't know enough about potato chips. So to me, the chart says keep going up. So I'll go with a 1 here based off the chart.
Yeah, I mean that chart looks great. I don't know this name that well. It was a earlier deal. Yeah, so I can't provide a lot of commentary on the story. I saw someone in the chat said that Kramer mentioned it on the show, so that could be one of the reasons for one of those potential jumps there. Not sure when that show was, but yeah, this will be one that maybe dive a little bit deeper into on a future show. So guys, as we bring the headlines and the research here, so you look at those top 10 SPACs in 2020, and you can play them going into 2021. Again, do your own research. That was just our opinions. But you can also kind of play some of those same themes or peer companies going into 2021. So I want to mention a couple here that are directly connected kind of to those 10 that we just talked about. So up first, so we talked about QS, so QuantumScape. Company was backed by Bill Gates. I have a lot of respect for Gates, and I think he has a good sense for technology. So he is also a backer of Butterfly Network, which is going public with LGVW. So this is a portable ultrasound company. I think this one becomes a big story in 2021. Again, I love the Bill Gates connection here. And look at what happened to QuantumScape, a company that Bill Gates believed in, put his money to work with them. So LGVW is one that will be watching going into 2021. And as we do our show on Thursday, talking about our top SPACs for the new year, you may very well see this one mentioned again on that show. Then we talked about DraftKings. So again, the story is sports betting. So, DraftKings had the huge pop in 2020. So the question could be in 2021, do some of these other sports betting SPACs, do they see the same kind of movement after those deals go through? So you could look at LCA, DMYT, and then also DMYD, which is bringing Genius Sports, the thing behind the thing, sports data from live contests to the sports betting companies. So that's a theme to watch in 2021. So, along with DraftKings having a strong market position means, can they maintain that market share with new people entering different states? When we talk about DMYT with Rush Street Interactive, their Bet Rivers brand is #1 in Illinois. It did have a head start over DraftKings, but it's been able to fend them off for several months. So that's one, to look at in 2021. And then also the team behind DraftKings and also Skills just launched a $1.5 billion SPAC that we talked about on the show called Spinning Eagle. It will trade as SPNG as the ticker. Those shares are not available yet. Not sure when they are. It'll probably be sometime in January. I know I've gotten a lot of questions on that. So it will trade as units first and then common shares probably in February. So Spinning Eagle, that's one to definitely look at because they have those two big winners completed recently. Then we talked about LAZR and VLDR. So those were the lidar plays. So if you look at lidar, there's a couple other SPACs that have not completed their deals. So that's CGRO bringing Innoviz public and IPV bringing Avia public. So then I also want to say that you should look at THBR, which is bringing Indie Semiconductors public. So Indie is the semiconductor stock, powering a lot of these connected cars as we push into autonomous vehicles. They're landing more revenue per car. They're also working on their own LiDAR capabilities. This is one I like. We talked about it on the show a couple days ago. It has started running higher. It also does have a connection to Apple with the Apple key. And with Apple getting into the EV market, there could be a play there as well. And then as we talk about Tattooed Chef, so plant-based food could be a big story again in 2021. There is a SPAC out there, NOAC, that is still trading as units. So NOACU, that's Natural Order Acquisition. They're targeting the plant-based market. And so that is one that you could watch as well. And then that Betterware de Mexico. So that same team has a second SPAC trading as DDMXU. So still trading as units. But that team is one I like going forward. So again, that was NOACU for Natural Order Acquisition, plant-based market. And then DDMXU, the Betterware de Mexico team, probably targeting the Mexican market as well. So those are some names that I like in 2021 based on the top SPACs from 2020. And then also want to highlight, so that's based on the closing price of last week, but we do have two former high flyers to talk about. So during the year, Hyliion, HYLN, which is a SPAC I still own a small position in, shares traded as high as 58.66, which would have placed them, second on this list. They're now trading at $16, and also Nikola. They hit a high of 93.99, now trading again at the $16 level. So those were two of the hottest SPACs in 2020. Both have fizzled out. Again, I am still long some shares of Hyliion, as I believe in the electrification story, but I want to see them announce new deals. There hasn't been a lot of new news out of this company, and that's what investors want to see. Again, it's about the future with some of these SPACs. As far as Nikola, I won't touch this one. I don't believe in the story. This was a high flyer. They had a great, they went public at the right time because they hit right when, SPACs were really hitting it. But they've lost all their deals. They've lost their CEO. They can't maintain these deals and really move forward. So it could be a story stock in 2021. But I won't be touching this one. And as you can see from that chart that Mitch has up, what a rough fall from grace that they had from that 93.99 level.
Yeah, this is why you don't want to always buy the rip. And this is why we always talk about know your levels. If you look at this stock, you'd even get opportunities. Let's say if you missed this drive and you did believe it was going to go back up to 93, it came down all the way to these levels, all the way down to old resistance. And so that's what you have to look for now. I think, in the long run, this one doesn't really look that bad now. At least on the yearly chart, you're starting to get some support here near this old resistance from the March breakout. So now you're all the way back towards the early evaluations. And so one of the things that I always look for is how does the stock react here? I want to see big volume bars like this to see if the stock is going to turn back around, but definitely a high flyer coming all the way back down. And why you got to know kind of your levels. I mean, if we look at HYLN, There you go. Pull it up here, and this one still hasn't tried to find the bottom. And this was another one that went up before the merger and after merger knockdown. You know, a lot of this has to do with evaluations, guys, and kind of the feeling that I, and the reason why I look at high flyers like QS and let's just say one that I people are knocking me today for thinking that it was going to come back down was LCA. These things are not going to always run forever, guys, and we have to understand that there's going to be times when let's say, and I talk about this, is that let's say if you're up 40% in a position and you think that the stock could maybe go up to 50, 60%, I always like to ask myself, in the perfect conditions, how far or how much further can my stock go? Because if the answer to me is only about like 5%, a lot of times I'm going to look at my return and be like, man, I got 45% here. I think maybe 50% I can get. Maybe it's just best I take that 45 and don't be greedy. And you have to find what works for you. That's what I always talk about at these SPACs is that there's not one recipe to success. I'm a buyer in the lower tens and try to get them actually even closest to that $10 exact price point. And then there's some people that I know that are making great trades, buying it up there at 12 and then selling it up there at 16 or 18. It's all about what works for you. But like always, guys, make a planned attack for these, and I think that's always going to be your best strategy. All right, guys, want to catch up with everyone in the chat. Let's go say hello, say hello. So what I want to do now, guys, is if you had a favorite SPAC of 2020, let's go ahead and put those tickers in the chat. It's ticker time. Let's go through some of these favorite SPACs of 2020, guys. All right, traders. So I know there's a lot of people probably going to start getting it through here. But if you had a favorite SPAC of 2020, definitely put it up in here and let's see if we can touch some of these. All right, so I know this is one that Chris really likes. Also, has mentioned before, SBE. So what's up with the switchback?
Yeah, so Switchback, they haven't completed that deal yet, so they weren't on that list that we talked about. But shares have consistently traded over 40. They're bringing ChargePoint public. That is a charging infrastructure play. It's a Biden play. I own shares. I have since below 13. I believe it goes higher in 2021. I mentioned this one on election night. I love this one going forward, and I think it keeps its movement in 2021. And also, as we talk about management teams, that management team behind this does have a second SPAC hitting the market. It'll be SWBK, so be sure to put that one on your watch list as well.
All right, let's keep it going. You guys saw the three that shouted out SBE there. Now we got Warren shouting out here NGA. NGA, baby.
Yeah, so NGA, Lion Electric, we talked about it in the headlines that deal with Blink charging. This is another stock that I own. Electric vans, electric buses. There's a huge push for electric buses in the U.S. Again, this is a clean energy and a Biden play. I like this one going forward.
All right, guys, we got another one here, another famous one. This is one that was on our show. We got RMG here, mentioned by WGA Tips. Give me the tips. Give me the tips. RMG, what's going on, man?
Yeah, RMG falling, as that deal went through yesterday. Again, this one traded, it went well up over the last month into that deal. It kind of traded flat until, that vote deal was announced. So I see some profit taking here. This is one where I like the long-term story. Let's see where this one kind of trades over the next couple days and if it can find a level here. But this is a battery play. They have some great partnerships, as Lionel mentioned on our show. So I like this one going forward.
Yeah, it was mentioned by a couple of traders out there, so definitely want to give a shout out to everyone that mentioned RMG. Let's go ahead and go into another one that we talked about early here. XL, man. XL Fleet.
Yeah, XL Fleet, I still own a small position in electrification play. It did trade, Real hot that first day. It was on CNBC. It got some Citron research coverage. It got Kramer coverage going into the deal. I like the long-term story here, but I don't know how quickly we can push back up to the $30 level there.
All right, I got a next one here. SRAC. Let's keep it going here.
SRAC, Stable Road, bringing Momentous public. This is a space play. To me, I get excited when I see a headline, that says last mile delivery in space or the FedEx of space, because I think space exploration and travel is going to be a big theme over the next couple of years. And this is a company that's going to help, take things to space, and they're also going to help transport, satellites and other things from rockets, and put them in place. So, Mitch, I know you've talked a couple times about like Maxar and some satellite plays. I like the space story. I like the satellite story going forward. I've liked SRAC for a while.
All right, let's hit up some replay, baby. RPLA.
Yeah, so replay, we talked on the show yesterday. So Finance of America, we had the CEO on our show. Again, mortgage, student loans, housing, a couple different areas here. So you have one that's announced a deal. We're going to get that deal closed hopefully soon. And it's still trading under 11 just because, it's not as exciting of a play to some investors as these high growth EV names. Look at GHIV though, with United Wholesale Mortgage. That one traded flat for a long time. And then it started getting that attention, going into that deal. Maybe we see a similar trade with replay when that deal goes through. So I'd be looking at this one under 11 here, before it completes that deal.
All right, guys, we got one mentioned by a couple traders here. We got APXT here. So, Gary, I see you. APXT.
Yeah, so APXT bringing AvePoint public. We had the CEO, TJ, on our show. This is a Microsoft partner. They help bridge the gap for small to medium-sized businesses. Software and cloud was a big story in 2020. I think it continues in 2021. We saw some of the software IPOs in 2020, just kick out the gates like Snowflake. I think this one will get more attention as they, release earnings and really highlight, their revenue and their profits going forward.
All right. So it looks like, hey, Chris, sometimes I feel like, people really wish you had this, man. Full disclosure, Chris owns them all. I wish, Chris.
I wish I could own them all. Again, you hear me say names that I like, and I wish on some of these names, like SRAC, MP. I mean, I wish I would have bought them earlier. I wish I would have bought them when we first talked about them on the show. Guys, I don't own them all, but I do disclose the ones that I own. Again, do your own research. But you're right, Frank. Yeah, I wish I could own them all.
I can't blame. We got Jackie supporting NPA here for 2021. Let's go ahead and take a look at this chart. This one I know has been moving significantly. So NPA, Chris.
Yeah, NPA. That's a 5G space mobile play. Going forward, they have that partnership with Vodafone, who also owns a stake in the company. They have a deal with AT&T, and then they also have an ownership stake from American Tower, which is a large, telecom tower company. So the fact that you have Vodafone and AMT believing in the company and that deal with AT&T, I think is a strong sign. The only thing with this one, I think they're a couple years away from significant revenue. So I don't know how excited people will get about this one, for a year or two. So I think this could be a 2022, 2023 story rather than 2021.
All right, guys. So the other one I want to check out here, is let's run through these. I'm gonna run through them really quickly. I'll show you the chart for all of them. I'm kicking myself on one of them, so I'll run through them. I got you, DC. Let's run through the Chamas. Why wouldn't we, right? All right. So let's go ahead and let's start with IPOC first. Go for it, Chris.
Yeah, so
real quick.
IPOC, again, we talked about this at 10. It's been ripping higher. Clover Health. Pay attention to those rumors because they do have a partnership with Walmart. But if Walgreens and CVS turn out to be true, it'll continue to rip higher. IPOD, IPOE, and IPOF, again, all trade at premiums. So far, Chamath has announced his deals in order. So the thought process is that he will announce IPOD first. But remember that IPOF is the one that raised the most money. So I also see that one could potentially announce their deal first, with some of these large unicorns, saying they want to go public, either IPO or SPAC. I like all the Chamath, SPACs going forward. Bet on the management team here.
Yeah, I'm kicking myself a little bit here because this is the one, and you guys can go back to the Chamath show that we did. I mentioned it with Chris. I said, if there's one I was looking at, it was this one, IPOF, and we were talking about it back here at $10. So I mean, just think about it. I mean, now we're up there to that $13 price point. You have this high wick of a high of 13.40. Look, let's see if it gets above that level. One of the things is you got some significant volume here at 13. I think you had a big pullback day, but to tell you the truth, I mean, it's not looking too bad because we're getting back above this resistance right here. This is 1240. So if I can see it go sideways here at 1240, 1250s, I think, if you get some volume to come and push it back up, you might be able to get through this resistance. So definitely one to keep on watch, guys. IPOF, and maybe it's like Quantum says, maybe it's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all. Oh man, looks like we got some support here.
Whoa,
One
look
of
at
the
that.
things one of the things that we do here, guys, is it's really all about you guys, and we want to keep doing this all about you guys. It's not really about Chris or I. We try to make our money in these, but at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is bring you guys the information so that you guys can make your informed trades, and then at the end of the day, gain wealth. Gain wealth because that's what we want for you guys. We want you guys to succeed. So definitely a shout out to Kevin here, $50. We work hard for you, Kev, and if you ever need any SPAC, take a look at some more coverage, let Chris know, and we'll work hard for you guys. That's what we're here for. All right, like always, guys, definitely smash the like below and the subscribe button as we've been growing bigger and bigger, and we're going to keep going. With this, we're going to be trying to put on a SPAC event. We're going to be trying to do on boot camps, teach you guys about warrants. We're going to be trying to do it all in this educational field and the SPACs. So definitely, guys, stay with us. Hit the like down below. Chris, do you have anything else to leave off?
No, that's it. What a great show. Again, guys, if you're new to the show, thanks for joining us. Hit like and subscribe, and a reminder that the rest of the week. So tomorrow we will be talking about SPACs trading between 10 and 11. Guys, as you see, SPACs get hit hard today. It's a good idea to look at some of these SPACs, trading between 10 and 11. You really lower your risk with that $10 floor, where you have that high risk or that high reward and low risk. Rather than chasing some of these names that have announced deals. So I'm excited for that show tomorrow. And then Thursday, we'll be bringing you a special New Year's Eve show hitting on our top SPAC picks for 2021. I'm excited about that as well. We're going to talk about some that have completed deals, some that have pending deals, and some that have great management teams that have not announced deals. So 2 great shows coming up this week to close out 2020. What an exciting week we have here. So make sure you tune in, guys.
Yep, definitely want to give a shout out also DC7 from London, man. We got fans all over the world. I'm not kidding when I'm saying it, guys. We're the best SPAC show, not only in the nation, but in the world, guys. And that's what we're really trying to do is get this world coverage out there because other countries also want to start investing in these SPACs. So let's get the information out there. Let's get it to them. I want to give a shout out also to AD Trader there, giving us another $10 tip. Guys, at the end of the day, if you guys really want to support us, guys, let your friends know. Let everyone know about the SPAC show because that's really what it's all about, guys. That's how you guys find it. So let everyone else know. Hit your Twitter up. Hit your social up. I want to see everyone tagging that Chris in here. If you guys look in the description below, get my guy's Twitter, hit him up, tag him up, let him know how much you guys appreciate his SPAC following, and we'll be here with you guys like always, guys. So definitely smash that like, and we'll see you next time on the SPACs Attack, baby.
Yeah.